Today, I'm pretty much in the middle of nowhere at Wood Hat Distillery.
We pride ourselves in being the most ecologically positive distillery in the country, really.
That is exceptional whiskey right there. How much whiskey can you make on an acre of that corn?
A lot.
You know you're out of your freaking minds.
We don't really care.
Today, it's gonna be a little different because today, I'm pretty much in the middle of nowhere in Missouri at Wood Hat Distillery. We're gonna get a little nerdy, like we're gonna talk about corn and genetics and all sorts of weird things, but if you're really into whiskey, if you really wanna know how whiskey is made, what impacts the flavors on whiskey, you're gonna really enjoy this one, but it's gonna be different it's not a whole lot of me. I'm just going to document what I see. There's not a lot of time for me to interject because there's so much good information. I think you're gonna like this one though. Let's get into it.
I'm Gary Heingardner. I own Wood Hat Spirits. Been making whiskey here since 13. Been growing corn for whiskey since 12.
I'm Ryan Bort, and I kind of do a little bit of everything. Wear a different hat every day. Some days I'm a farmer, some days I'm a distiller, some days I'm a truck driver. What makes Wood Hat different is we start from seed to glass. We actually grow our own corn, we breed our own corn, and we do everything from putting that seed in the ground to selling the bottle at the end of the day.
So we make about 18 different things, whiskeys, bourbons, and cordials, and we make good juice. I grew up in agriculture, spent most of my life helping farmers grow corn, and then I spent a significant number of years with Barrel Company taking care of their scrap wood. Been a wood turner for 4 or 5 decades, and I ended up making wood hats. I learned it from a guy called Johan Michelson. If you ever see a wood hat, either he made it or he taught the guy that made it. It's a pretty short group of people, but we had to call it something. So we started this with the concept of one, we need to make whiskey and a corn that people eat. And we decided to do it in an environmentally friendly manner. So we use scrap wood, we use ambient cooling, and we do all those with either no energy input or renewable energy input.
So this is it, this is the tour right here, this room, all the magic happens here.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happens here. I mean, this is the heartbeat right here. We got stuff on the outside that happens in the peripheral, but this is the heartbeat here. We're kind of set up to do 1,000 bottles a week. We're wood-fired, the only wood-fired distillery, commercial distillery we know of in this country. You know, fire and alcohol like each other a lot.
Maybe too much.
Maybe too much, so we got to kind of keep them separate. We burn wood, scrap wood for making whiskey barrels out of the barrel plant. It's just over the hill. Heat oil, and then we transfer oil to cook and distill with. So we're the only oil transfer distillery that we know about in the United States also. So we're a little bit different, but we bring in a ton of grain, 1,000-gallon mash, we cook it, bring it over here, move it to a fermenter. We pride ourselves in being the most ecologically positive distillery in the country, really. We use scrap wood. We don't poke a hole in the earth to bring up natural gas or coal or anything else. Everything's up here on the surface. So we use recycled wood, and we don't own a refrigerator. So we got to get 100 degrees out of the mash to put yeast in it, and we use ambient temperature tanks out back. Feel that tank? Cold. Not cold.
A lot cooler than it is out here.
I can take 200-degree mash and dump it in there.
So you're dumping it into that tank?
No, I don't dump it. I just run it through heat exchanger. So at the present time, it's very seldom any higher than 200 degrees outside today. Summertime, it takes a little longer. In the wintertime, when there's 6 inches of ice out there, happens real fast. 1,000-gallon, take it over here, drop it 100 degrees out of it, pits of yeast.
For those at home, it's basically running through, I assume, stainless or copper coils.
Stainless steel.
Stainless coils. And so it never touches the mash.
No.
So you use almost anything water-wise. All it's there, it's almost like a radiator, right? It's just,
a radiator.
It's running through to cool whatever airflow or whatever thing it comes in contact with.
We'll dump it 100 degrees in here. This is 1,200 gallon. I can dump 100 degrees in here. There's 1,100 gallon right there. There's 1,200 here and there's 500 here.
Now, I assume you're pumping it through and it pumps right back into the tank, and if it gets warm, you just move on to the next tank.
Just move on to the next one. Okay. And that night, Mother Nature cools it down.
Yeah.
We kind of follow the Scotch example. I spent a little time there, and I kind of picked up some concepts, and that's kind of what we do. High temp, 4 days, and then we move it back in here. This is our still at that point.
So you do your mash cooking and your distillation in the same pot?
In the same pot. We cook, ferment. We can do actually 5 batches at a time if we want. 4 days, put it back in here. distillate comes out here, and we're pretty conscious about a lot of different things. You know, once you have your distillate, then what do you do with it? Well, we put it in a stainless steel bucket, then climb up a ladder and dump it in a stainless steel tank. We never pump it. If you use a pump and a hose with distillate, you're going to either inject plastic or rubber. Once it comes out of here, it only touches stainless or wood. People don't talk about that, but we've looked at it from a lot of different aspects, and I just don't like, you know, if you got alcohol and rubber or plastic, you're going to have some particles dissolved in it. We're above I-70 in the Missouri.
Okay.
And the reason I-70 is there because they didn't have any bridges. And the reason there weren't any bridges because that's where the moraine was. So they stopped here. So everything above there has got high in iron and manganese, so and high calcium. So we have to blend our mash water to take care of the high iron and manganese and yet maintain the proper nutrients.
First distiller ever that didn't say our whiskey's the best because we have the best water.
You know why they say that? It's because of water, because that's the only damn thing they own. The corn's not there, the barrel's not there, but they own the water. So that's what they promote.
Over here on the Brewzle team, we love a reliable, smart gift. And in my opinion, there's nothing more practical and worthwhile than a well-made wallet or card holder. And our friends over at Extra know how to make quality card holders to hold some of our most valuable possessions, our bourbon budget. Now, I know you've heard me go on about my Extra wallet. This is my everyday carry right here. And I use one of the bigger wallets because I'm an old man and I got a lot of stuff to carry around. But it makes accessing my cards super easy and convenient with just the click of a button. The interior card holder will fit 1 to 12 cards, and the wallet also features an RFID blocker. And nobody wants to have their credit card number stolen on a bourbon hunt. And the RFID blocker makes sure that that's not gonna happen. If the leather wallet isn't your thing, Extra also has card holders that come in aluminum, leather, or carbon. The quick access button works exactly the same on these card holders, except they're super lightweight and extremely slim, so they'll work for you no matter how light your loadout. And the best part is that whether you're going all out for the wallet or keeping it simple with the card holder, both of these items can be paired with Extra's tracker card, so you never lose your wallet again. Extra's Finder card uses Apple's Find My network, and the Extra tracker card is the perfect option for those with Android devices. And if you happen to lose your wallet, it's super simple to use. Just ping the Finder card or tracker card if you're an Android user right from the app on your phone, and there it is. Luckily for the Brewzle community, Extra's offering a special discount for all your last-minute Christmas gift needs. From December 9th through December 25th, Extra's offering up to 50% off, and if you use code Brewzle, our viewers can save even more on top of these already crazy deals. So whether you're in need of a gift for a friend, or maybe you're just in the market for a new wallet for yourself, Extra has you covered. And make sure to use the code Brewzle to save even more money. Let's get back to that video.
I don't even have the corn that most people use.
What corn do most people use?
Number 2, yellow dent. We grow that for cows and pigs. That's why we grow it in ethanol plants. So if you're gonna make whiskey for people to drink, my concept, make it out of something that people eat. And if you look at what's eaten all over the world, that's a blue corn. That's eaten more than anybody else in the world. Look at the culture, and it's been around for a long time. It's blue because it is anthocyanins. Anthocyanins is where antioxidants come from. Now, is it better whiskey? Well, you can only ride that horse so long, you know. By the time we cook it and ferment it and distill it and age it and so forth, the antioxidant part is negligible. So my first corn was got from the Hopi Indians, and it's an open pollinated, so we can plant it every year. So we started with that one. In 12, we added a Bloody Butcher later on. You can find corn or you can make corn. Now, I don't know anybody else in the distilling industry that's making their own corn.
Now, when you say making, you don't mean growing.
I'm talking about taking genetics and breeding the corn just for whiskey. You can look out and source, you can cross, and you can select. So that's kind of what we do. We've looked at all the corns available. We've taken everything out of the grain bank that's been in there for 100 years and taken it out and grown it. We've had all those things that are adapted to Missouri. We had 44 different corns here, but 2 years ago, 129 different corns. Try to find the best corn for whiskey.
What is the best corn for whiskey?
That question is just like, what's the best grape for wine.
What do you think is the best with corn for whiskey?
The smoothest corn is going to be a blue corn. The longest finished corn is going to have some red in it. Your best all-around corn that's going to be probably going to take the industry is an orange flint. And we bred that corn. We've been breeding that corn. We started in Old Mexico with genetic stock, and we own that genetic stock now. And I'll let you taste some today.
All right,
We've got
we're
some
gonna try
straight
some.
stuff that's been in a barrel for a couple of years, and we're going to get ready to release some probably in August.
So that's your corn. Like
That's
you've
our
got that one on lockdown.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what it looks like. You know, if we look at the big picture of corn, you got popcorn, okay?
Right.
Then you got flint corn. Then you got dent corn. Then you got flour corn. So we all know what popcorn is. So if you look what's between popcorn and dent that we all use, flint's in the middle. Native Americans used a lot of flint corn. If you ever go to Italy, and I just got back from there, all your polenta is some flint corn.
Okay.
Flint corn is eaten all over the world, except United States. People say, well, if you got heritage corn, it doesn't yield very good. This is gonna maybe even beat what we're growing.
Okay, so you think you've got a higher yield on that?
Yeah,
Than,
this last year
Okay.
was higher, particularly in dry land conditions.
Right.
It beat the big hybrids.
How much whiskey can you make on an acre of that corn?
A lot. We only take the hearts. We make our cuts tight. We get 3 proof gallons in a bushel. There's 5/5 in a gallon. So we're looking at 15/5 out of a bushel of corn. And if corn is $5, it's below that today. And you get 15 bottles of whiskey, your corn cost is less than the stopper. It's half the price of the label.
Right.
The main ingredient, it's crazy, is so cheap. We could be spending more money on our corn and not affect our bottom line at all. I know what people from this counter want to buy, and that's what we produce.
Out of all the distilleries we get asked to come feature, we probably had the most requests for this place. And the fact that you don't have a huge distribution, that you're, a small producer in what I'll call the middle of nowhere, it seems like it to me,
yeah.
that says a lot. Like obviously what you're doing here resonates with folks. How far are you distributed? Where can people find you?
We're in Missouri, Kansas, Indiana,
Okay.
New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, so forth. We got a distribution out there, and they can get us on the net.
Are you just that passionate about corn, or you go that crazy on every grain you use?
We use corn and wheat. We don't use barley and rye because we don't grow them here, and we make whiskey out of what we grow locally. We don't do number 2 yellow, so I don't have to put rye in there to kill the taste. I don't have to put barley in there to kill the taste.
So that sounded like an accusation. Sounds like he's saying everybody else is using terrible corn, so they got to add a lot of crap to try to cover it up. Is that your quote?
That's your quote, but it's my concept. You can say it in a lot of different ways.
So no malted barley at all?
No malted barley at all. We've been there, we've done that, and what you really need to do is just change the corn. What if we only had 1 grape in this country? How many wines would we have? And how good a wine would if it was all Concord grapes? And to make a grape just for wine, we've been doing that for 100 years?
Yeah.
A long time. I don't know exactly how long, but yeah. They don't grow grapes for grape juice to make wine out of. That's a different grape.
Yeah.
So why do we make whiskey out of cow and pig feed? We ought to be making whiskey out of corn that's bred and raised for whiskey. And that's what we do. We have some farmers that help us. We don't own all the dirt, and we don't own all the tractors. We do all the research plots right here on site. So you don't see this stuff at distilleries generally. We do small plot, different things, different times, and it's awful hard to have a guy that owns a $500,000 or $800,000 combine and says, hey, could you come over tomorrow and get my 2 acres?
Yeah, they're not
Right. So we had to do our own combining. But we want to pick it in the ear because we want to know what the ear's like. So we have a corn picker.
How are you storing your corn?
We get it dry to start with.
When you say dry, you're taking moisture out of it before you store it?
We like to be at 11.5%.
Okay, now typically most folks who are buying corn, what moisture?
They're going to be 15, 13 to 15.
Yeah.
And that's not dry enough.
Right.
If you got a good tasting corn, it tastes good to mold and bacteria also. Cool. Let's go taste some whiskey.
Let's do it.
This is our government bonded Rickhouse.
when it comes to aging, a lot of places talk about, obviously barrel size, temperature, and airflow.
So we got intake at the bottom and the
Okay.
front. Got a whirligig in the back and the top because we don't want alcohol fumes in here to build up. Aging whiskey is all about changes in temperature, barometric pressure. It goes in the wood and comes out. And it's dependent on how many times that happens, right? Well, in your big Rickhouse, what's it do, 3 or 4 times a year? It happens twice a week here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's pushing it in and pulling it back out again a lot of times. And with a 15-gallon barrel, these 15-gallon barrels have got 3.5 times more wood per gallon than these 53s.
Right.
Now, these containers are damn poor ways to store 53-gallon barrels. For small barrels, it works good. You can manhandle them. Big barrels, no. We use a lot of chinkapin oak. We're kind of unique in that regard. It's going to be more floral.
Okay.
And we use a 3-year air dry. I worked around staves a long time. So when you let your stave sit out in the rain, it washes your water-soluble tannins out. Those are the bitey and the bitter ones.
So you want your stave out in the rain for 3 years?
3 years.
Okay. Most distilleries, major big distilleries, 53-gallon barrels, the time it spends in those barrels add a lot of complexity to it without adding too much oak tannin. And it's really easy with these small barrels to get just huge amounts of oak impact, which oftentimes makes the whiskey bitter, maybe a little more one note.
It's really easy to do that.
Yeah.
And the best way is to make a small barrel and don't let the stave sit in the rain very long.
Okay.
Use a 90-day.
Yeah.
Well, duh. What 90 days was that? June, July, and August when we got a ½ inch of rain? Or was it April, May, and June when we got 14 inches? So we should be measuring water and not days.
Okay.
That's really hard to do. And for the guys that are making barrels, it's kind of impossible. This is the very first and only orange flint corn.
Now this is the one you said was the best one? That actually smells really nice. Great nose on that. It's nice. I would still say that's a small barrel. Like I still could taste the fact that it comes from a small barrel. It gets a little more of that dark fruit, but as far as small barrel whiskey goes, really, really solid.
And it's only 2 years old. But see, that whiskey didn't burn in the front, didn't have a sting in the front.
No, it was great in the front.
Gone.
And I think honestly, what I'm getting on the back end might just be still a little bit of youthfulness because it's 2 years old. Like
Yeah.
that's going to mellow out, I would think.
That's a corn we made.
Okay.
This is a corn that other people made many years ago and probably was the favorite moonshine corn in Missouri.
So this is the white corn?
This is a white corn.
Okay.
It's a Missouri shoe peg corn.
So with like Bloody Butcher corn, typically I get a lot of dusty, earthy notes on that. This one started heading that direction and I thought it was gonna get really dusty. And then it just lightened up into a really nice sweet finish. Like there's a little bit of spiciness on the mid palate, which I would have said is a rye spice. That's how I would have described it. I'm not a huge fan of small barrel whiskey, full disclosure. I would drink the heck out of both of those.
Well, you might think about your Bloody Butcher situation.
You gonna change my mind on Bloody Butcher?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll change your mind. You can grow corn and you can make whiskey. But what happens to the corn in the middle part? You grow corn one time a year. You make whiskey all year long. What conditions is that corn stored in the meantime? People call it dusty, mushroomy. It's moldy corn.
Butcher. I've been looking for a Bloody Butcher that I like because I know some distillers that are making some and theirs is all dusty. So I went on a little hunt and I think I bought one of your Bloody Butchers, but I haven't opened it yet. Like I just got it the other day. So we're gonna try it here. You're gonna change my mind. You're gonna show that I made the right decision on buying that bottle.
So we got chinkapin, we got regular oak.
This one's a medium with a
The
char
very
over top.
first barrels that were char on top of toast was in 14. That was my barrel. But I don't think there's anybody out there that did it before me.
Okay, first ever toasted then charred barrel.
Yeah, and if I'm wrong, somebody needs to tell me that.
We want to find out right now.
Good.
Make your plea in the comments.
I want somebody to tell me they've got a barrel that's got a char on top of toast prior to February of 14. This is an 18. This is a 17.
Okay, so this one's gonna be pushing 7 years old.
Yeah.
Now is your proof typically going up or down?
Up.
Up, okay. How far do they normally go in these big barrels?
This is probably close to 129, 130-ish. Okay. This is a medium toast over number 1 char, or under another 1 char.
Can we do a barrel pick of that one? He nodded no. He said no. He said no.
Because I just picked it out to bottle up on Friday.
Then maybe a different one.
I'll be willing to go pick a different one.
We'll look for a different one. But that is exceptional whiskey right there.
This is the blue corn. It's all on the front side.
Yeah.
When you swallow it, it's like, where'd it go?
It is a little light on the finish. It's got a nice mouthfeel to it, though.
Really good in the mouthfeel, but it's in the front.
Yeah.
No sting around the front, no burn on the front.
It goes down easy. What's amazing to me here, too, is just how much that corn still comes through in the glass after that. Like that, you buy a Kentucky bourbon, like once the glass is empty, like this still smells like cornmeal.
It's 75% corn too. So.
Yeah, very high corn. What have we got up here?
It's the same thing, but different barrel.
Okay.
And it's a year younger.
Color's beautiful. Honestly, I like the top one better, even at a year younger.
It's that chinkapin.
Okay. So you're going to sell me that one then?
I'll sell you that.
Okay, I'll take that one. The sister barrel's almost identical.
You can taste that one real quick if you want.
Absolutely. Little different notes through the mid palate. The first one's a little more mellow. Let's earmark that one. If we find several, I would rather do different things if we can, but if we can't find several different things, I might take both of those from you. All right, they've officially got me hot and sweaty, but we were able to pull out a Bloody Butcher.
Bloody Butcher.
Now, Bloody Butcher, always been dusty, earthy. Okay, so I smell a little of that. It's reminiscent of that, but it doesn't have the dust on it. It's just a different, what is that note? I'm terrible at describing that note, but the dustiness is not there. Man, why are you ruining it? So I had a perfectly good explanation of Bloody Butcher corn, and you just ruined it.
It's not the corn. It's the way the corn's been stored.
All right, so how old is this?
May 31st of 18.
Dude, y'all are getting great color on these, though. Like crazy.
You're going to have a big front, but then the backside, it's got a really nice spicy finish. Kind of like a rye. There's no rye in there.
Where's that spice come from?
That comes from that corn.
That's crazy. Because I definitely would have said this was 20-something% rye. What's the mash bill on this one?
All the bourbons we do would be 25% wheat, 75% corn.
Man, that is super interesting. Now, this is the one you were talking about that had a little bit of
potato.
Yeah, it's like got a little something in it, a little different than a normal yellow dent.
In order to get the short season, they had to use a corn that grows high in the mountains in the Andes.
Okay. I'm going to say this. My audience is going to know this. You're starting to get some Frey Ranch flavors on this. Okay, so Frey Ranch is one of our favorite craft distillers. They're out in Fallon, Nevada. They have a 2,000-acre farm. They grow everything. They malt their own barley. Like, they do everything. And I would not be surprised if the corn they use is not very similar. Because if you would have just handed that to me on the nose, I would have said that's a Frey Ranch. They would have a lot of spiciness on it. This one is much less than that on the spice, but my God, that's delicious. Kind of a lightly scorched caramel flavor up front is how I would describe it. That is very quintessential Frey Ranch.
The number of skill set that it takes to do a craft distiller is tremendous. And there's not many people who got that broad spectrum of skill sets to do it.
I mean, you talk about grain and thermodynamics and all sorts of different things like it. Yeah. And that's before it gets into marketing and, you know, dealing with the government and organization and records and.
So we've just concentrated our efforts in making good whiskey.
Okay.
And we haven't concentrated on distribution and selling. As long as I had enough money to bank, I didn't worry about it.
Bloody Purple bourbon? I just happened to glance over here at this Bloody Purple. So are we blending yellow and blue corn? Is that what we're doing?
That's our own variety. We selected that. We took all the purple ears out of Bloody Butcher.
Okay.
8 years ago. And we planted them.
Are these the oldest ones you've got?
Only ones we got.
What do you expect the purple ears to do?
We're expecting all up front, very smooth up front, bigger in the middle, short finish.
That's exactly like sweetness up front, tons of flavor in the mid palate.
To be honest, I think this is the first time we've opened them up.
First time you've tried them, okay? I think the way he described it was spot on. That is headed in the right direction. That's going to be really interesting when it gets the age on it.
Yeah, that's 23D, so that's 23. It's Yeah.
It's 1 year. Honestly, much better than I would expect for a year-old.
You can't do that if you come behind your Jeep.
You literally hand-picked all of the ears.
Oh, yeah. We got a corn picker that picks the ears. We can put those in a wagon, and then we can go through that wagon and say, purple, non-purple, purple, non-purple. Or we can get a laundry basket, type a rope around your waist, and go down through the field and pick all the purple ears. So that's how we've been doing it lately. It doesn't take a lot of ears of corn to plant an acre of corn.
I'm gonna say this, and I want y'all to take it in the best possible way. You know you're out of your freaking minds. Like, you know that, right?
We don't really care.
No, I love it. This is awesome. But y'all are nuts. Y'all let me know if any other place is this nerdy about it. Like, if they're going this deep about how to make whiskey, because these are places we want to be.
I would say this in 100% confidence that we are the most vertically integrated distillery in the United States.
Well, you can't do this at scale. I own a small business. For those that don't know, we do e-commerce. We build websites that sell things. And one of the things that I try to tell our team, but also tell our clients, is take whatever you consider to be your disadvantage and turn it into your advantage. And so as a small business, you can do things that don't scale, and that will give you a huge advantage over all the folks that have to do things that scale.
Right.
And what you're doing here doesn't scale, but it's what makes you super unique.
We're not interested in doing 200,000 barrels a year. We're just interested in making good whiskey and figuring out how. So you want to look at your white dog?
Yes. The answer is always yes.
Yeah, this is my office and my lab. Not the lab, but this is lab results. This is one of our first research projects. Anybody wants to try different corn, this is a good place to start. Get you some different corn, screw them to a board, and put it wherever the wildlife is. A deer and a squirrel have taste buds that are 1,000 times better than ours.
So what'd they take here?
Well, this is just a mock-up.
But I can tell you, if I sit this out in the woods, they're gonna eat every bit of that.
All right. And
until
that's
it's gone.
blue corn?
That's blue corn. That's first when they go. If you plant blue corn in the middle of yellow dent, they'll just make a path through all the yellow dent. We do it every year. They create paths to get the blue corn. They won't eat any yellow until the blue's gone.
But we did figure out a way to fix that problem. Plant sweet corn around the outside.
And they'll take the sweet corn first?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
That's
soft
what
and
we did.
sweet,
Yeah.
and then they won't touch the whiskey corn.
This is the number 2 yellow dent.
It's always the last one left.
It is always the last one dent. They won't take a kernel off of that until all the rest of it's gone.
So why is everybody planting that? Like, but why is it just a higher yield?
It's higher yield and it's consistent. If you're somebody that uses 30 semi-loads of corn every day, you want a source that's going to be consistent because that's where your whiskey is. And it's more important to be consistent than it is to taste good. We've done a lot of white dogs. These are some of the keepers. This is the chapalote. It's a brown corn.
I don't even know what a brown corn is.
Well, nobody else does. I do. And in South America, they know what brown corn is. It's dead in the water because of mechanisms. It doesn't ripen the same, short ears. The snapping rollers won't pick it off the cob, okay?
It doesn't scale. You
No,
can't
it
scale
doesn't
that at
scale.
all because you got to like do everything manually with
Yeah,
it.
it doesn't scale. You're right.
Are you gonna, and you're making an age in that though?
No,
Okay.
we haven't made enough.
Yeah. Understand.
It's a lot.
I mean, but for white dog, that's pretty good.
So this is our white dog.
Your white dog's a cat.
Her name is White Dog. So we had 3 cats. We had heads and tails. And this one came along and she's white. So we just called her White Dog. White Dog Market's been dead for years. But this is different. This is totally different. It's not available on the net yet, but give us in a month and a half and it will be.
Where can they find it on the net?
woodhatspirits.com.
Okay.
We can measure all kinds of stuff. This chart here is just one of different ones you've done. We got corn across the top. Here's the different. This is blue clary, chapalote that you taste, bloody purple, shoe peg. Back over here, number 4367. And then here we have these compounds explained in terms of what they really mean to us.
In the best way possible. He's nuts. That's
You
exactly
don't
why.
have many people with this in their office.
By many people, nobody. One guy. Red popcorn. You did a popcorn whiskey?
Oh yeah, we do popcorn.
Dude, you got to throw some of that in a barrel.
You ever buy a ton of popcorn?
I have not bought a literal ton of popcorn, no.
Well, that's where we got to start to get some in a barrel. We got to have a ton of popcorn. But a ton of popcorn's a lot of money.
I'm not joking when I say, you tell me what it costs to do a 53-gallon barrel, give me the chink and pin oak, I'll pay for the barrel to be made.
If you didn't tell you it was popcorn, would you get
I wouldn't have picked it up.
Taste?
No, I would. I mean, a little bit. I probably wouldn't have said it was popcorn, but it's there. Like very sweet, like a popcorn.
You make 15 bottles of whiskey out of a bushel. What can you pay for whiskey for corn?
Whatever.
Whatever is exactly right. You know, we need to be paying more for corn to entice those people that are raising corn. Give them the money to do something different. Don't worry about yield to start with. Find a corn that tastes good and make whiskey. And in the craft business, that's what we need to be doing. We need to be separate and different. And the easiest way to make stuff different is to start in a different place. And in the whiskey business, that's corn. So that's where we're coming from. Start with it from a different place. You're going to make a different whiskey. You're going to make something that's worthwhile driving and buying and putting on the shelf and having a good experience looking for whiskey.
Had a great time here at Wood Hat. We tried a lot of interesting whiskey. We picked at least a couple of barrels. Those should be available to the B team, the Brewzle Club, at some point in the future. We'll do all we can to get those to you soon, but man, you're gonna like those. Those are gonna be different. So I appreciate y'all watching all the way to the end. We'll see y'all in the next one.